KD7CYM monitoring. KD7CYM monitoring and checking with K7NKK.
monitoring.
Good evening. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the O8 machine. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. Western Washington Amateur Television Society is a group of amateur radio enthusiasts that take to the airways with digital amateur television in the DVB-T format. We transmit on 70 centimeters repeater up on Cougar Mountain, and it spits out images at 1.2 gigahertz. To find out more about the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, please Google WW7ATS. Once you get on our homepage on the internet, you'll see the frequencies we transmit and receive on, and also a little bit of history about our organization. From that front page, you'll find a link to YouTube where we stream our nets held Wednesdays and Saturdays between 8 and 9 o'clock. Also, we'd like to thank the CTEC Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.08. That's again the O8 machine 147.08. And note, you will need a tone of 103.5. That's right, a tone of 103.5 to communicate with this net for the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. So with that, this is Dave, KD7ZYM. I'll pause in case anybody has emergency traffic or needs to make a contact on the O8 machine before our net gets fully underway.
N7KC.
Western Washington Amateur Television Society. I'm Dave, KD7ZYM. So far checked in by video link, KD7QKU in Tacoma, Ron, KF7UHK, Jessica, Everett, K9PQ, Bob, Bottle, K7ITX, Richard, in Arizona, N7QO in Covington, Jim, myself, Dave, KD7ZYM in Lake City, and Don, K7NKK. Is there anybody else wishing to check into the net?
Yeah, N7KC, UE in Port Angeles.
And that acknowledges N7KC, Lee in Port Angeles. Is anybody else wishing to check in? Hearing none, again, welcome to the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the O8 machine. Let's go to Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma.
I turned my transmitter on. I'm waiting to see a picture come up here. KD7QKU here in Tacoma. Uh-oh. I know what's wrong. My camera's not on. Hang on a minute. My camera will time out.
Okay, that's much better. My
It'll fill
camera will time out.
I put it in the record
It,
position and it'll fill up the card.
it'll fill up the card in it. I put it in the record position and it'll fill up the card and then it'll shut off. And so I forgot to put it in the record position when I turned it on tonight. Well, it's good to see everybody. Let's see, what have I been doing? Not a whole lot, unfortunately. I went to the ham club meeting today. I met a new guy, and he was kind of interesting. He had restored a Mustang like I had, and he liked to fish, except he lived a long ways away, so it's not too practical for us to really be friends and fish together, I don't think. So anyway, I'm getting feedback here. It's coming through the TV set. I turned the sound off on the TV set, I guess. So anyway, nice to see you guys. Nice to see you, Lee. Nice to see Don. Of course, nice to see everybody else. So for now, I'll turn it back to the net, KD7QKU. Back to Dave.
I guess it's here. Yeah, this is Lee at 7KT in Port Angeles. Okay, I guess it's here. Yeah, this is Lee at 7KT in Port Angeles. Testing 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is Lee at 7KT in Port Angeles. Testing 1, 2, 3. I don't know what was going on there with the phone. This is Lee at 7KT in Port Angeles. Good evening to everybody. I don't know what was going on there with your phone. Years and years. Anyway, good evening to everybody. And Don, I haven't seen you in years. Years and years. Anyway, you're going on 11 years now. And I think, anyway, you're listening to it. And I think, well, Jim is up there, and it's pretty. I'm looking at the YouTube feed as well. And it's pretty good with the about 5 second latency. I think you're trying to get an idea of what the. Yeah, about 5 second latency, I think, here. Right now? The minute or two. Yeah, about 5 seconds. Anyway, I don't have much. I'm not here for the whole man. If I pull out, don't be concerned. Anyway, I don't have much. I'm not here for the whole man. If I pull out, don't be concerned. So anyway, there's stuff going on downstairs that I put away. I think we'll work out. So anyway, good to see you all, and continue. Nice technical work going on here on the HQE. We'll see you later. Back to you, Dave. This is 7KC League. We're at
Thanks for that. Let's go to Bob, K9PQ. JC, thanks for that. Let's go to Bottle for Bob, K9PQ.
I'm pushing a lot of buttons here tonight. So first off, feedback was my fault. So first off, Ron, the feedback was my fault. I mute the audio, so it wouldn't do that. And Wade on how to mute the audio, so it wouldn't do that. And I think don't know where, I don't know if it's available on streaming, but I'm gonna go check it out. This picture that I've got really switch back to the that's at that little county park right by your this picture that I've got with my trailer, that's at that little county park right by your place. About that when I brought the picture up. So, a long time since I was talking earlier before the net about that when I brought the picture up. It's been a long time since I've been out there, so I think I'll be making a trip out pretty soon to come just come say hi. It's been too long. Okay. Okay, I'll come back. Yeah, come in here to trailer. Okay. Let's see. I thought I had something else too. Let's see. For my camera that might work. Oh, Ross. A tip for you that I use for my camera that might work for you is fill up the card and it should go ahead and leave it on record, but then pause. And then it won't fill up the card and it should just stay that way. Mine is always on record and pause. It still sends the video and it seems to work just fine. Pause. So you might just add it right record on. It still sends the video. Okay, well that's all I've got for now. You just have to have record on. Yeah, I think so. So okay, well that's all I've got for now. Come back. This is Bob. Yeah, I think so. So I'll see what everyone else has to say and we'll come back. This is Bob K9PQ. Back to net.
Thank you. Yep. Let's pick up Richard. Master Control. Thanks, Arizona CT. Let's pick up Richard K7ITX, Arizona. Hi again, Richard K7ITX. Hi again, K7ITX. No response for that, and quick ID here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur. No response for that, and quick ID here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society. That's what it's called. Let's go to Covington, Michigan,
7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone. I know sometimes
7QO. Thank you, Dave. Good evening, everyone.
Echo link.
I know sometimes they have some trouble connecting
So that's why
through Echo Link. Might take them a little bit longer.
hopefully we'll catch him next
So
time.
that's why I delayed a few more seconds here. But hopefully we'll catch them next time
Good to
on.
see you. Lee, good to see you. Bob,
Well, Ron, good to see you. Lee, good to see you.
Looking at
Bob,
all
good
of
to
you
see you.
through the repeater.
I'm looking at all of you through the repeater.
Pictures look good.
No computer here in the shack.
Jessica.
Pictures look good.
Okay, I focused in on one thing. Shrimp.
Jessica.
You know, as
Okay, I focused in on one thing. Shrimp. You know, as I'm getting older, I find that I need to eat earlier in the
a
day.
little hungry just by listening to people.
That does not mean that I don't get a little hungry just by listening to people describe yummy
Sylvia,
delicacies
has
here.
to work. Glad the strike is over.
Let's see. Sylvia, sorry she has to work. Glad the strike is over.
The Russians are coming. The
Hope we got
Russians are
something
coming.
decent out of that.
I recall seeing
The Russians are coming. The Russians are coming. Like Bob, I recall seeing that, but it's been decades. I don't remember all of the details.
ran aground and someone thought there was an
I seem to remember something like that
all the
too.
details, but
Ran aground and someone thought there was an invasion. I don't remember all the details.
just
But
out of curiosity,
was that on Senguli or where? Just out of curiosity, where that might
I'm
be.
looking at a good picture of your
And let's see.
trailer.
So Bob, I'm looking at a good picture
A good picture
of
of
your
tow vehicle.
trailer.
And one thing that I can see
And
now
a
that I
good
have
picture
better
of your tow
resolution.
vehicle. And one thing that I can see now that I have better resolution,
I cannot see an antenna
digital
anywhere.
television
Either of those,
repeater. I cannot see an antenna anywhere on either of those
Just an observation.
vehicles.
Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
Just an observation.
Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
I've got 38 degrees. I've got 38 degrees and cloudy. Well, for today, I got to do a blood draw in the Kaiser. They always like to keep tracking track of level going on. I've got a couple of apple boxes to keep track of. So I think the Goodwill that's been going on. I've got a couple of apple boxes full of stuff. So I take the Goodwill, load it up in the trunk of the car. And I've been mesmerized like watching the fire coverage down in Los Angeles. It's unbelievable what the television coverage has done for that episode. It's very professional location photography, just angles, I would say very professional, both photography and reporting going on down there. Like that. Real good, Dave. KD7 UIM, 7NKK. Real good, Dave. KD7 UIM, 7NKK. I did hooked it up. I see tracks over there. I think that's a little IC2000 over there. I didn't go check that another time. I know this 3.5 and auto 600. We'll check that another time. I know this is going to be what I wanted to bring up with Ron last week, but you couldn't hear me. It's very interesting, and I wanted to bring up with Ron last week, but you couldn't hear me. I bought a boat with my son-in-law, and the guy who ran that boat on that lake you're talking about down there. It was a little 16-foot typewriter, and that was like part of it. The other day, not even I have some no carry off. No, I was glad to get in there. I took him in the restaurant very often. I had something called AMDS. Now we're switching over to AML. I got this special $1,200 a day bill. It's targeting through gene control. Now we're going to try to get into our next thing. Back to net control, and it looks like I'll be available next time around. Thank you for your transmission. Thank you for your transmission, and it was clear. So let's go on
Okay, KD7QKU here. Gee, I might have left my transmitter on, I don't know. But anyway, Don, that was kind of interesting about a little boat, tight runner, 15 foot. Wade is texting me, darn it. It's in my hearing aids. Anyway, Dave was talking about the fire in California. I've been, fixated with it too. I get channel 4 in California here, and I have 2 TV sets, and so I have it on almost all the time. I was reading where the fire chief, they ran out of water and everything, and somebody asked the fire chief down there why they didn't use seawater. And I was wondering the same thing. And he said they had to. He said they don't want to use seawater because it's so corrosive on everything, especially the airplanes, and in the fire trucks, of course, they can't get them down to the water, to draft, and they don't really have a pump to pump the seawater. He said that they're going to consider that in the future. They may even put in some pumps and some hydrants if he could get them to do it around the area so that they could get seawater in different locations for the fire trucks. But he said that it's as anybody that's had a boat and had it in saltwater knows it's pretty corrosive stuff. But he said, what can you do? If he didn't use seawater, there would be more stuff burned up down there than there has been now. So yeah, he said they've been using seawater. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. And it's always nice to hear from Jessica and hear what's going on up there. And hear from Lee. So, and Jim, of course, and everybody, of course, Bob and Dave. I think, is that called Salt Springs State Park? I think that you're at, Bob. All of a sudden, it kind of came to me. I know I've been there, and like I say, I love that picture. This beautiful picture. So, let's see, what else has been going on? Not much. Okay. I'm going to have to see what Wade's texted me. All right, back to net, KD7QKU.
Television Society net on the 08 machine. I'm Dave, KD7CYM. So let's go to the Shrimp Queen, Jessica in Everett, KF7UHK.
UHK. I have a friend at work, one of our security guys calls me Minnie, and it's hilarious. Because I once came in and said, I'm very petite. He said, yeah, sure, we'll call you Minnie. So I'm going to second and third that on the fires and the coverage. This has been absolutely phenomenal. The number I heard a couple days ago was over 10,000 structures have been burnt to the ground already, and that was a couple days ago. And already 13 people have died in this fire. It's just phenomenal. And Washington State is sending down quite a herd of trucks and support crew to go down there with them. And I think that's absolutely fantastic that we can do that. And that's just super good. For Bob, I found this movie, The Russians Are Coming. The Russians Are Coming on Tubi, Tubi, and that's on Xfinity. And I went through the search mode, just typed in "The Russians Are Coming," and it popped up in Tubi, and it was just free to watch. If you want it without commercials, it costs you. But if you don't mind a few commercials interspersed in there, it's free. So yeah, and it is about a beach submarine that got a little too close to America, just because they were curious. They were so close. We just wanted to take a look, see what it looked like, and what a great movie. And the movie kind of progresses like I think it's a game called Telephone, where every time the message gets passed, it gets a little bit worse, even though it was just something as simple as the grounding, and chaos ensues near the end. So there you go. It's still a great movie to watch. Fun movie, great music. I like Alan Arkin as a Russian. It's always fascinating to listen to him speak Russian. I don't speak Russian, so I don't know if they're really speaking Russian. I assume they are. But I always think that's cool. Okay, that's it for me. KF7 UHK.
KF7UHK, thanks for that. Let's go to Port Angeles to Lee, N7KC.
Okay, N7KC, Lee in Port Angeles. Yeah, hi Jessica. I see Dawn on the Echo Link and so forth. That is Salt Creek out here just west of Port Angeles. It's a Clallam County Park, and it is just the coolest place. It's really a great overview of the strait, and you're looking across, let's see, to Souk on the Vancouver Island there. So it's a nice, and I know Bob enjoys being out there, and so do a lot of other people. Anyway, okay, I really don't have much else, and so I promised the folks downstairs that I would be down by the half hour, so I'm going to go ahead and terminate my feeble transmissions here. I have to say the digital feed that comes in off of Discord. It gets fed up there. It's just stunningly beautiful. It's amazing, really. Nice technology. So we'll see you guys down the pike, and have a good night. So back to you, Dave. This is 7KC Lee in Port Angeles.
Timeout. Lee apparently forgot to stop transmitting, so I'm assuming you gave it to me, Dave. This is Bob K9PQ. Yeah, Jim, you got me. No antenna. I do have a mag mount that I use. In fact, when I went down to Magnuson Park and tried to get in from there, I used a mag mount, and you might remember back from the days when our repeater was in Seattle and I was in Kirkland, or I was living in Bothell. I went down to a park in Kirkland and went right across Lake Washington and got in very nicely with that mag mount. So yeah, I don't have anything permanently. I think it goes back to my time when I was living in Seattle and I just didn't want to give any reason for someone to want to break into my car. So having a ham plate is bad enough. What else have I got? Oh, Dave, that's really interesting. It was good to hear your report on the photography and reporting from someone who actually knows what good photography and reporting is. So it was nice to get your view on that. And yeah, Salt Creek is just a wonderful campground. And I haven't been in a long time, and I know it's a popular one. So you got to try and find a time that you can get in there. And of course now it's easier for me. Back when I think when I stayed there, it was probably on a weekday, but I was on vacation. And I don't go in Tubi. Thanks, Jessica. I might just do that. I've become so spoiled with streaming, with not having commercials. It's really hard for me to put up with commercials, but I think I probably will for this one because that sounds like fun. I do buy a lot more movies than I used to. Back when we had disc rentals, tape rentals, I would rent some, but I almost never rent, like on Amazon Prime. I almost never rent movies from them. But I will buy movies because usually I figure if it's a movie that's worth seeing, I'll go out and watch it again at some point. So I do that. I've got quite a library built up on Amazon at this point. I just hope, I guess I was banking on the fact that Amazon probably won't go out of business, so I'll probably still be able to watch these over the years. Okay, well, that's good for now. I'll send it back, K9PQ.
K9PQ, thanks for that. Now let's move on down to Covington to Jim in 7QO.
K7NKK.
I guess you don't see Dick anymore. Okay, well, yeah, Dave and Don, blood. Yeah, I hate when they stick me. I have to go through that twice a year, whether I want to or not. But it helps if I put myself in a certain state of mind before that. Yeah, let's see. Stuff for goodwill. Yep. I need to do that myself, Dave. Good for you. Don, really good audio from you tonight, and good picture from you as well. Let's see. For my video, when Ron was transmitting, I'm getting a split screen. I see Ron, and then the other half of the screen, it's just a black screen, and it has Carlos's ID on it. I'm not sure why that is, but that's what I'm seeing here. Jessica, thanks for mentioning that movie's on Tubi. I do remember seeing that Tubi is available where I am. I'll have to investigate if it's free or if I could avoid the commercials or what, but I'll worry about that later. My wife actually studied Russian in college. I'll bet, well, she probably doesn't remember a whole lot. That was like 50 years ago, but she might actually be able to recognize whether or not it's Russian. So if we get around to watching it, I'll have to check that out. Lee, if you're still there, good night. Thanks for joining us. And Bob, my comment on the antennas is probably more a testament to the quality of the video that I'm getting now compared to when our television repeater was broadcasting analog television. The picture quality here is a whole lot better than it used to be. So, yeah, and I can understand not putting antennas on your vehicle if you leave them parked in certain places. So, that was just a comment that I had there. And by the way, I could see your amateur radio license plate on the tow vehicle as well. Wow. And I can actually read that. Incredible. Back to you, Dave, and 7QO.
N7QO, thanks for that. This is Dave, KD7CYM. Get a quick ID here again. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the 08 machine. Again, this is Dave in Lake City. Well, I don't know, listening to the conversations, sometimes you don't like commercials, but my livelihood depended upon that, my career. So I always thought commercials are great. Even to this date, if I'm watching commercial movies on commercial TV, and they come up with a pile of commercials, but not only do you have one or two commercials these days, you got about 6 of them in a row. So I find it very, very good to take a break, get up, get something to eat, something to drink, and come back and check out on the show. So for me, it's working out pretty good. So that's pretty much it. So this is Dave, KD7CYM. So let's go to Don, K7NKK in West Seattle.
Well, Dave, we'll see if we can get 2 for 2. I noticed it changed. Okay, it says 110 on there. It gets weird between the 103 and the 110. I got the 110 on here on the cell phone. So yeah, I've been watching these fires too. I can't get away from the TV. It's pretty amazing. I actually watched these fires like 10 or 15 years ago too, when they were doing that thing. I go on YouTube and watch YouTube Live. And it's just terrible. All those homes. I mean, these $2 to $4 million homes, and they're all the same. And each one of those guys has to pay a lot of money, taxes every month. It's like, I couldn't believe the price. I can't even repeat the number because I'm not sure it was really true. Like $50,000 a year. Wow. I thought it was bad just here in West Seattle having to pay $5,000 a year. But yeah, $50,000 a year for taxes, and they're going to lose all that tax base. So, man, I don't know. It's going to, it's going to be. Everybody's going to be moving to Texas. I guess that's where everybody wants to go nowadays, Texas. But I got to go upstairs and I got to take some more pills. So I'm going to bow out here. I appreciate you guys letting me in. I'll try that 2-meter radio again sometime during the week with my brother testing it. I know I did test it the other day on 110 and he heard me full quieting, and so today I changed it to 103 to see if I could get it to key up the repeater. So anyway, I was glad to see that Echo Link worked tonight. It did want me to hook up. It didn't like one way I hooked up. It says don't do that with Wi-Fi. So anyway, I got that figured out. So before I bore you all, I'll send it back to you and hope you have all a good day. 73s all the way around, everybody. Back to net control, KD7, K7 NKK.
KK, we got your 7-3, and thanks for joining the net. Let's move up to the top, to the one and only Ron, KD7QKU in Tacoma.
Waiting for my picture to come up. There it comes up, KD7QKU here. Well, I'm not the one and only. I'm one of the two in Tacoma. Of course, Wade's in Tacoma. He's been texting me. I don't know if he's going to show up tonight or not. I didn't look to see where he was at. Darn. What to talk about? It seems like I don't know. I sat in the sun a little bit today, and I have this little battery-operated TV, a little flat screen. I've taken it with me, and I set it on an upside-down 5-gallon bucket so I could watch the football game. It was in the afternoon. I'm trying to think who played now, but anyway. I sat in the chair, and of course, it was after lunch, and I kept dozing off, so I don't know what went on in the football game and why I even bothered to put the TV set out there, but I did. So then when I brought it back in, I had to charge it up. It's a Tyler. It's a really nice little set. I like it a lot. So like I say, I went over to the ham club this morning. They were having a class session for people, to get their license. So part of the downstairs was occupied. So I forget what they call the room that where they kind of do repair, and so we're mostly sitting in there. And I did meet a new guy. I had never seen him before, and I sat down next to him. There was an empty chair. We struck up a conversation. He was kind of interesting, about my age. You guys probably don't come over this way very often, so there's Highway 512, and then there's stuff south of 512, and one of the little areas is called Fredericks, or Frederickson, I think. Man, has that area grown up. I mean, I've only been here a couple of years, but it's all modern, and since I've been here, they've changed this one main road. It's either Canyon Road or 72nd. I don't remember which one. They turned it into almost a 6-lane highway. My goodness. All the warehouses are out there, new warehouses. The streets and stuff out there are so new that we have a pretty new car, and they're not even in the GPS. I couldn't even find my way around on the detour, but it was something. But it's like the Kent Valley. They put all the warehouses in the Kent Valley, where they're doing the same thing out in that Frederickson area. So there's a lake out there, and the guy mentioned. I said I needed a place to fish, and he mentioned the lake, and I said it's too congested. There's just too much traffic. I don't want to tow my boat out there through the traffic. It takes all the fun out of going fishing. So anyway, I'm going to go to American Lake. It's closer. I did send off a check and an application for a boat ramp permit, so definitely going to fish there this year. I don't know how many times, but I'm definitely going to go. All right, enough. Back to net, KD7QKU.
Brad, Jessica in Everett.
Frederickson, I think somehow back in my mind, I think Boeing once had a plant out, or some kind of facility out there. We called the Fredericken site, and I'm not quite sure. So that's interesting. That sounds like fun, and fishing sounds like fun. I'm not much of a fisherman, but I like getting out on the water. It's always good. Let's see. So we have these radios in our buses. We call them radios. They look like radios, except for our things are little handsets, so we can have a private conversation without everybody in the bus hearing the reply on the radio. And ours are tuned to about 873 megahertz. This is a really high frequency, and I don't seem to be able to receive it on my one radio that I might be able to, which is my FTM 350 by Yaesu. I can get that frequency, but whenever they transmit it, it's kind of garbled, and I'm kind of wondering if it's like the width of their signal that I can't really change. So interesting enough, Island Transit, which runs their buses on Whidbey Island, and we match up with them at March's Point, which is between Mount Vernon and Anacortes. They recently just changed their frequency, so we can't talk to them anymore. When we have transfers to Island Transit at March's Point, we have to send something to our dispatch, and our dispatch has to call them and say, we have someone waiting for you down there at March's Point. And it's like, well, that's interesting that they did that. Someone probably said that frequency you can't have anymore, and now they've changed. But it makes it a really, really arduous for us to have an easy peasy transfer of people to their bus system. And their bus system is like our little small buses are ones we transfer on people to hospitals and stuff. Our little smaller buses is all they have there on Island Transit. And I've known people who've worked on Island Transit, and they kind of enjoy it. It's kind of a nice place to work. They're pretty laid back. Anyhow, I just wanted to bring that up and talk about that. So I'm going to pass it back. KF7UHK.
UHK, thanks for that. Let's go to Bothell to Bob, K9KQ.
Okay, well, let's see. I had a few things. First of all, Jesse, your great minds think alike. I was going to ask you if Frederickson was a Boeing site, because I remembered that as well. I want to say it was maybe was it radar testing or something? It was something different. It wasn't like a normal plant. I can't remember exactly what it was. So, yeah. What else do I have? The fire. So everyone has heard about the Palisade fire, and I think that's the one still causing the most trouble, but the Eaton fire down there in L.A. as well. It's actually in Pasadena. It hasn't gotten to L.A., but it's right next to L.A. That's the one that was threatening my niece's family and her house. She's at Highland Park, which is a neighborhood in Los Angeles, but it's right very, very close to Pasadena, and Altadena and Pasadena Altadena got hit the hardest. Pasadena's been hit as well, but they're holding the line, keeping it from moving south and west toward Highland Park where she lives. So they're doing okay, and I just got word today that the winds had died down, which had made the smoke be not such a big problem, because the smoke is going their way, even though the fires aren't. The wind is all blowing that direction toward the west, and so they've had just really, really bad smoke. So they've been, cooped up in the house and running air filters. Fortunately, they already had good air filters, and that's been working for them. But they've got a little toddler, and she's pregnant, so it's just it's very tense. Yeah, Jim, the video quality, it is. I'm starting to get used to it, but I'll tell you, for the first few weeks, I just couldn't get over how much better it was from the analog. And what I did want to tell you about why you see Ron just on one side of the screen. So one of the things we can do with digital is we can set up to have multiple things on the screen at the same time, And what I did this evening was Rob actually wanted to see the RF. So what you saw at the bottom of the screen, the waterfall was showing the RF that was happening while Ron was transmitting, and then we have two receivers now. So the way Wade set it up was the one receiver that Ron was using on one side, and then there's another receiver on a different frequency that the reason it had Carlos's call sign is it keeps the last one that transmitted. The call sign stays there. So that's why you see that. Hopefully that clears that up. But yeah, I'm glad you noticed that, and I'm glad I got a chance to talk about that. Let me break. I guess maybe the other thing I had was the Goodwill. Yeah, I've had a box of stuff to take to the Goodwill sitting in my garage for a little while, so that's on my list as well. Probably on Monday I'll go take it down there. And I just have, there's a lot more I need to clear out of here and get to the Goodwill. But that's a start. I have the boxes ready to go, so that's a start. Just get them down there and get them to the Goodwill. Okay, well, good to see everybody. We've thinned out a bit. Maybe I'll have another go around if there's time. But we'll. Oh, there's Carlos. All right. Well, it's back to that K9PQ.
PQ, thanks with that. Speaking of Carlos, 87NP, what say you?
Good evening, everyone. Oh, let me turn something on. Am I on the right or am I on the left?
Am I on the right or am I on the left? Oh, I'm on the right today.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, everyone. This is 87NP. Sorry for being late, but my son had done some steaks there on the grill, and there was this net at 8 o'clock and some steaks in the grill, and sorry, friends, I had to make some hard choices, and I'm back. And so, missing a little bit the context, but I heard Bob mentioning about the advancements at the repeater site, and it's quite exciting. Both receivers are working really great, and Wade and I have been working on some additional software layers that control the repeater now from both receivers, and it's quite exciting. We have a couple more ideas on how to keep making the difference. Because we're just building the software for ourselves. This is unique. It's one in the world. There's no other club in the world that has kind of this. So at some point in time, we need to do the case study and kind of tell folks, and eventually continue to experiment and integrate with other opportunities. So again, sorry for being late. I will follow. I will collect all my homework from the stream, and I will watch it later. And I hope everything and everyone is having a great night. Back to Net Control, Dave. Thank you so much from 87NP.
7NP, thanks for joining in. This is Dave, KD7CYM in Lake City again. And our thanks goes out to Carlos for all of the work he's been doing on developing the software to get us into the digital world of switching things around. So that's very impressive. So we like that. And Wade also has been a great help on doing things up at the site. So anyway, kudos to both of those two gentlemen. So this is Dave, KD7CYM, and time to get another ID in here. This is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society net on the OA machine. So that's about all I've got to say. I'm kind of run out of words, so I'm going to move it back up to Ron, KD7QKU.
Okay, KD7QKU here. Well, good evening, Carlos. Nice to see you. Thank you for all the work you've been doing. We appreciate that. I'm kind of out of things to say too. I didn't have much to say in the first place. I noticed that the clock on the bottom there, I guess it's in, military time, or it's 2050. I don't know. I guess that's fine. I guess I know what it is. So anyway, it seemed like in the beginning it showed standard time. Carlos to switch to the other receiver or transmitter. So Jim, yeah, Jim's probably watching. You can see now, Jim, that we can have two pictures up at the same time. It's almost like FaceTime. You can talk to the guy and he can see you and you can see him. I don't know how often we'll do that, but we can anyway. Yeah, I need to go through and take a bunch of stuff to Goodwill. We got an extra Christmas tree now, artificial Christmas tree. I suppose Goodwill will take it. I don't know. I guess I'll try them. If not, I'll probably have to take it to the landfill. Tacoma's a little strange on their landfill and recycling and stuff. They don't take bottles, they don't take plastic, they don't take styrofoam. We have to take all that to the landfill ourselves, which is a little inconvenient, I think. But we're paying for, well, I guess it's free to take it over there, but you still have to make the trip. So we have to, accumulate it in containers and then every so often make a run. The only thing we can put in recycling basically is cardboard. Maybe we put a few tin cans. They're real restrictive over here what you can put in. So anyway, I can understand batteries and stuff. There's a place where we take batteries. There's a co-op market not too far from us here, and they collect glass and they collect batteries. And so we can take some glass and batteries down to them. So that makes it pretty good. I guess they have more stuff than they can recycle. That's the problem. We're talking about that. There's all that demolition, from all those houses that burn in California. And they're going to have, before they can build, they're going to have to clear those lots and the property. So there's going to be lots and lots of, trucks hauling that stuff. I wonder where they're going to put it. I suppose they'll have to fill a canyon down there someplace with it all. Can't dump it in the water, that's for sure. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do with it. That's going to be another monumental problem. And yeah, I was reading a story where one of the celebrities down there, I suppose you would call him, he owned 3 homes, and he said that it was his family home where he grew up, in the school and everything where he grew up. It all burned up, and then he had their first home. He kept that as an investment, and it burned up, and then he had the beautiful home that he lived in now, and it burned up. And he said that on the one home he was paying $40-some thousand, or was it $50-some thousand? Anyway, the person that manages his money and stuff told him that the taxes were $40 or $50-some thousand on one house. Said he didn't think too much about it because he could kind of afford to pay it, so he was nonchalant about it. But now thinking back, he had these 3 houses, and he's wondering where all this money is going. But then he was also thinking about the other people that have to pay those high taxes, and he was saying he doesn't know how they could do it. It was kind of interesting. It kind of opened the eyes, I think, down there of a lot of people what kind of goes on in California and where the money is being spent and what they're doing with this. So be interesting to see what happens in the future. So I guess enough of that, but I was curious of what they're going to do with all the debris that's going to be left over from all the burned structures and everything, and what they're going to do with it. So anyway, back to that KD7QKU.
With that, let's go to Jessica, KF7UHK in Everett.
And those people who win those dream homes are like, I I think his name was Richard Hatch, on the first Survivor episode that won $1 million and decided not to pay taxes on it. Eventually served a little time in jail because he avoided taxes. And it's kind of one of those, we were talking about this the other day when they came up with, about union dues. It's kind of part of your paycheck protection to pay union dues, because if you pay your union dues, someone's fighting for you to keep your good job and your good benefits. If you don't do that, then it's up to someone else to decide what you get. And taxes are kind of the same thing. If you don't pay your taxes, then roads don't get fixed and fire engines won't roll and things like that. So I'm a big proponent of paying my taxes. my father, who worked for the government, taught me the importance of that, and so it's stuck with me well. But yeah, no, we have two houses, and our condo and our house up north, and we pay a good chunk of money every year just to taxes. Even though these long since paid off, we still pay our taxes every year on these things. So you can't live for free if you live in society. So that's my tip for the night, and probably the last time I'll be here for this round. So we'll see you next time. This is Jessica, KF7 UHK.
7 UHK, thanks with that. We got your 7-3. Let's go to Bob at Bothell, T9PQ.
Hey, well, let's see. Yeah, the money, that's interesting that came up, because I've been starting to hear the first complaints about how LA didn't spend enough money to prepare for something like this. And, I remember this from New Orleans as well. And the thing is, sure, you could prepare for something like this, but you'd need half of everyone's salary to do it. So, you got to make choices. How much taxes do you want to pay to try and be prepared for whatever eventualities might occur? These things, you've got the fire department, but they're not set up for this. And they're set up for individual houses or buildings or things like that. So when something like this happens, nobody could really be prepared for it. And I would say most hams understand that. It's mostly the other general public that thinks that there should be some magical agency out there that just takes care of everything because, hey, we pay enough taxes, they ought to be able to take care of all this, but it just can't be done. Okay, well, that's my little bit. I'll say 73, everybody, and send it back. K9PQ.
9PQ, thanks for that. Let's go to Carlos, Clyde Hill, AD7NP.
Thank you very much. I'm back on the air, 87NP. I heard Jessica, Bob, and Ron, and I was able to also watch the YouTube video. It's kind of interesting because since I grew up in Europe, I look at the clock and that seems normal to me. I didn't, that's typically kind of my standard clock. I just think that the date seems to be on the opposite direction of how I grew up, but I hadn't noticed. On the tax side, I'm also a taxpayer abiding citizen in multiple countries, in fact, so I got to do it. And that's just the way to go. And I agree that the tragedy is quite complex, but if you watch the videos on TV of how strong were the winds, it's quite complex how to manage it. I feel sorry for all the firemen that were trying to fight it and not being able to do much about it. That was quite problematic, for sure. I think that's what I have for now. I was looking at kind of just sharing some different ideas about stuff. I've received also 1.2 gigahertz amplifier, so I think I can transmit straight into Dave's house just across the lake. So next time he doesn't even have to change anything, and he thinks he's seeing the repeater, and it's just me delivering signal straight to Dave. So that's one of my next experiments. I was inspired by Jim Andrews, that has this setup that can basically broadcast in different frequencies. So I'm trying to do some setup. And again, competition is still on for when the good weather comes. It's Bob's bucket truck and my mobile setup. We're just waiting for the nice weather to be back. So looking forward. Very good. Back to net control. Dave from 87NP.
Good things have to come to a timely end. Unfortunately, this is the Western Washington Amateur Television Society, and on the 08 machine, we'd like to thank the SeaTac Repeater Association for letting us use WW7STR's repeater 147.